week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike, and we are close to the screen. There it is.
We were a little too close there. Welcome to the Magic Mike Show, episode 370. Mr. Somich.
Derby prep news and week,
Woo! We are going live here on Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. It is all Kentucky Derby news and updates and discussion. Bring your hottest takes into the chat section. Love to talk to you, wow, love to talk, Mr. Somich. I can't speak. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I made my paper chain last night, counting down to the Kentucky Derby. Got to clip one of those circles off today. It's gonna be a crazy 2 weeks. It always is with the Kentucky Derby season, but this year especially, it seems like we have more and more news piling in. All of a sudden, my classic Causeway futures, which I was ready to rip up, are back, and I don't really think they're going to win, but they're at least in Derby now. We're still not sure what Chad Brown's going to do with some horses here. We've got workouts and lack thereof to talk about. So it's a little bit interesting. You just got all of these crazy things going on. Obviously, you had Blast at Keeneland last weekend. Thank you for everybody who came up to say hi. Probably like 20 different people coming up and said hi. And it was a lot of fun to hang out with you guys and talk horse racing. Wish it was a little better weekend financially. Keeneland's been a difficult meet. So I kind of agree with Chris. It'd be nice to cash a ticket here soon. But it was a lot of fun being there. Absolutely beautiful, too. And I was underdressed. I realized that. Everyone dresses up a lot at Keeneland. Pretty surprised by that, considering you just wear a T-shirt and shorts to Saratoga.
There's that's good to know because the Breeders' Cup will be back at Keeneland this fall, and I haven't been to Keeneland before, so it's good to know. Yeah, definitely. I didn't think it would be Del Mar attire. Del Mar attire is its own special thing. That's kind of one of the beauties about Del Mar. But yeah, I'll have to remember this when we get coming for Breeders' Cup. Boy, you guys are not joking in the chat. You guys are showing up with the hot takes already, Mike. This is gonna be a good show. I'm excited for it.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's fun to just kind of spitball about some of these horses and kind of start to form your opinion. It's that time where we've got to make picks here. I'd say early next week is when we're really going to start deciding who we wanted. Last year on Monday, the draw was when I decided I was going to be on our old friend Medina Spirit there. I think the draw is going to be really interesting this year. I'm excited to see where a couple horses draw. We're going to talk about the Yafforts. I think they're two of the key draws here. Timeform just put out their pace projections for the Derby, just put out their past performances. We can talk a little about who they have as the early pace and how they set it up. And there's a rumor that Slim is going to come back and talk pace too. So I'm hoping that happens. Saratoga Slim, if you're listening to this, which I know you are because you're driving to work again, we got to do a video together for your pace thesis this year.
You better be driving home from work, buddy. It's 5 o'clock.
Well, he doesn't listen live. He downloads. He's a subscribe and download kind of guy on Apple iTunes.
I forgot about that. Yeah, actually, so fun fact, I don't know if he still does, but Saratoga Slim used to listen to Blinkers Off at 1.25 speed or 1.2 speed because that was like the exact time for him to travel to work was if he timed it at that. So he was used to Aaron and Jared sounding a little Mickey Mouse-ish. But hey, we've got a lot of news to talk about, Mike. Let's get right into the news of the Kentucky Derby. Lots of news to talk about. The biggest one I think that is most important that Brian brings up in the chat, Classic Causeway. No shot, definitely going to mess with the pace. That's right. After working 5 furlongs this past Saturday, Classic Causeway, as of today, is back in the running for the Kentucky Derby, and he picked up Julien Leperoux to ride him. So we weren't big on Classic Causeway, Mike, before he was defecting and then everything, but we always thought he was a major pace presence in this race. Talk to me about why Classic Causeway being back in is a major disruptor.
Well, he's not afraid to go to the front. We saw that in the Florida Derby. We saw that obviously in both of the preps at Tampa there as well. And with everyone that was pulling out of this race, specifically Forbidden Kingdom, it was looking like we're going to have a slower and slower pace. Then we don't know about early voting. Chad Brown mentioned that he's not going to ship him to Churchill, which I think kind of the tea leaves are being read there. He's probably not going to the Derby. So if we're not shipping, if you have early voting out, if you had Classic Causeway out, all of a sudden it was like, okay, who's going to set the pace here? And that was going to set it up, I felt, for some of the better horses that I liked forwardly placed to be able to get the job done and go And I thought wire to wire actually became a possibility in the Derby. Now you have Classic Causeway, who will most likely be your speed of the speed. I think that's probably about a 90% chance, assuming he breaks, is that he makes the lead. It's going to be interesting to see what Messier does. It's going to be interesting to see what Taba does. I think they're definitely parts of the pace presence. We've seen Epicenter on or close to lead, so he's going to be interesting. White Barrios and Flication. There's a couple of these horses we're like, okay, are they going to go? Are they going to stay? What are we going to do here? But Classic Causeway is one will go. And that's really the biggest piece of this news, because I'm not sure he's going to be there, a mile into the race, but I am positive where he will be, 4 furlongs in, and that's going to be right up front.
Yeah, no matter where he draws, that's the one thing we know with Classic Causeway. He's going right to the front. I mean, we talked about it. We were analyzing the Tampa Bay Derby, but Classic Causeway, it's like a quarter horse when he breaks from the gate. He is so clean and so precise, is that the gate breaks open. And Mike, you made the joke that it's like his Tampa Bay Derby, his gate opened before everyone else's because he was so far out. And that's a huge thing for the Kentucky Derby. Let's be honest. We don't think he's winning. Can he hit the board? I think there's an outside chance he gets third, maybe third, definitely fourth, because he's going to fade. But how badly does he fade in the stretch?
He's not going to be on my tickets. I think that's the answer for me. I think that if he goes slowly, he's going to have a lot of pressure. And if he goes fast, he's going to quit anyway. So I think it's going to be a tough spot for him to get comfortable up front. Often we talk about, okay, how do they feel up front? Are they running quickly but comfortable? Is there anyone with the length? And I think Luis brings up a great point here. I did the horse capsule for Summers Tomorrow. Was coming over from the UAE Derby, ran second there. Crown Pride was able to pass him down the lane. Summers Tomorrow is going to be a pace player as well. And if you look at either of these horses and you talk to the connections, or you pretend that you're the connections, you have one way to win. Go. You got to go to the front. And that's, for both these horses, the same thing. I would expect that neither makes the lead easily. And additionally, I mentioned this before, Taba and Messier are faster than either of these horses if they want to be. I don't think they will want to be on race day. Both of them have been able to show that they can stalk and pounce. But if they wanted to press the pace or make the lead, either of those horses could. It would probably be a suicide mission now that you have Classic Causeway in, but both of those could probably make the lead as well. And to me, this right here is one of the biggest question marks. Mm-hmm. We don't know why he ran bad in the Florida Derby. And last year we had a horse like this where, Mandaloon ran really poorly in Louisiana, and they said, we have no clue, but they never took him off the trail. The plan was never to not run him in the Derby. It was always, we're going to go to the Derby. We're not sure why that race was so bad. It was too bad to believe. No one has any clue what happened in the Florida Derby. And then they took him off the trail right after the race. And now he's back on it. It's a very odd sequencing of events that makes it hard for me to back or have any faith that Classic Causeway is going to run more toward the Tampa Bay Derby and less toward the Florida Derby. I was surprised he was even in the Florida Derby. I felt like that was way too quick of a turnaround. I was expecting him to almost train up to the Kentucky Derby.
That was the discussion. He wins the Tampa Bay Derby after winning the Sam F. Davis Stakes, and we're like, he's beating easier horses, and we don't know, how can he do against the big dogs? But immediately after Tampa Bay Derby, we said, do you go bluegrass or do you train the Kentucky Derby? And we kind of said, let's go bluegrass. And Brian Lynch goes, yeah, we're going to go bluegrass. And then he worked so well, Brian Lynch called an audible. I think that backfired. Just a little bit on him. But Chris brings up a really great point. Time Form published the pace projector, and like 10 minutes later, by God, that's Classic Causeway's music. He's coming down the tunnel. Yeah, that's exactly what that did too. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and they have early voting projected as your early lone speed for a fast pace. Now, early voting, like we said, probably not going to go into the Derby, so you can almost just replace early voting there with Classic Causeway. And if you do that, then you've got Classic Causeway out front, who's probably going to set the pace in a group of a couple horses. Now, I'm going to say this again, and I disagreed with Time Form last year, specifically on Midnight Bourbon, who was going to be on the pace, going to be right there. Same with Hot Rod Charlie, going to be on the pace, going to be right there. They weren't that fast. I think they have Epicenter way too fast here. They've got Epicenter right on par right now with Messier, and they have Epicenter right on par with whoever the 18 is here, Charge It, who I also think probably not going to be on the lead. So it's interesting who they have kind of in that top flight right behind the lone speed. So with all these pace numbers, you have to remember smaller sample size, a lot of these horses coming out of different distances. Make sure you don't do your own research, because I would disagree with some of the pace that they just put up.
Steve brings up an interesting point. The Derby, the draw and the break are just as important as anything in the race. And not specifically targeted. I'm not going to target Julien Leparoux because I don't like to do that. But I know some people aren't big fans of Julien Leparoux. Steve says, what if Leparoux chokes Classic Causeway right out of the gate? Like, this is going to be everybody who thought Rock Your World San Anita Derby win was legit. And then he broke from the gate poorly, and literally you're just like, God, that's it. The whole thing, you literally hate the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's bad.
As someone who bet game winner, it's not fun when your horse gets killed early in the Derby and you're not winning, and you get to sit there and watch the fastest 2 minutes in sports go very slowly as you just cry into your losing tickets. So it can be kind of tough there. And I agree with Robert here. I think post position is going to be huge when we're talking about speed. I think if you see Messier or Taiba drawn inside, they are both pace presence threats. I think if they draw in the 8 through 15 hole, they're not. I think that they're more of, we're going to sit and see what we can get as long as there's speed to the inside of them. We've been harping on inside speed and how important it is. That's going to be a huge factor here in the draw. Obviously, you don't want the 1, but if you're speed and you're in that 3 or 4 spot, you're going to the lead. You're going to try and be first into that first turn, and you're willing to do it in 22 and change, assuming you can slow this thing down and get a breather second and third quarter before having to try and get that last stretch.
I want to keep going back. I want to go back up to the comments a little bit because, again, everybody, you've been really wonderful. Keep bringing the comments to you here. Go way up towards the. Click that back on. Alex says we need trigger warnings for game winner Derby mentions.
I'm sure there's some people who feel like we need trigger warnings for Rock Your World Derby mentions too. So there's probably a couple horses that would fall into this.
Go back to Shoddy here to represent the Barber Road. Shoddy was here before we got started representing the Barber Road fan club. Barber Road, let's talk about this horse a little bit. Polarizing because there are some people like Shoddy in the fan club. They love the horse. It's exciting when you have a horse that's a closer and weaves his way around horses and you feel like, next time. I've personally been bitten too many times by those horses. Here's what I want to talk about him. On the 23rd, he worked 6 furlongs in 116 and 4/5. Like, that's bad. 6 furlongs, you should be doing like 112 and change, maybe 113 if you're going slow. For comparison, Zozo, same day, 112 and 4. Bullet work. So, and he was working with Folsom, who was an older stakes winner. Barber Road, I'm not excited about him into this. I feel like that work was a bad sign.
Yeah, look, okay, I don't take very much into works. Get ready. Just put your everyone's about to work the best they've ever worked before in their life. So just get ready to hear that for the next week.
Not this horse.
Well, here's the thing. With a 6 furlong work, was he really working 6 furlongs or did he work 4 and then gallop out the last 2? Like, there's a bunch of other things that I think go into the fact that it's 6 furlongs. You don't see horses work 6 furlongs that often. Usually it's 3, 4, or 5, depending on the intention. And like a lot of trainers, when they're working 6, are never going to try and get the horse to go 12. Now, Zozo's may have just freaked and that worked, or may have actually been more keyed up than Cox wanted in that work. Like, there's a lot of different things that you see going into it. I don't know the intention of the trainer for the workout, so I'm not going to judge the workout time solely based off the time. Now, if they look bad running, that's a problem, right? There's other things that I think that can factor into it. But for me, like, I don't really buy into the workouts leading up to this next 2 weeks. I think that that's a great way to get talked onto a horse you don't like, talked off a horse you do like. And so for me, if you like Barber Road, that workout doesn't matter. If you like Zozo's, that workout doesn't matter. If you didn't like Barber Road, you can point to that workout. Like, to me, it's fodder in a lot of ways versus like actually how you should come up with who your horse is. And this is a great example. I hate Cyberknife. Won't be betting Cyberknife. Don't care how good his work was. Like, just don't care. Because if I care and all of a sudden it's great, I end up on Cyberknife, and then I'm kicking myself when he runs 16th.
Yep. Yeah, it's so easy the next 2 weeks for paralysis by analysis, and you fall in love with the wrong horse. Steven brings up Cox horses are looking good. Like, I'll be honest, they always look good leading up to the big days.
Except Warrant. Don't bet Warrant.
Yeah, oh, God. We're not going to talk about Warrant. But no, he's got, Cyberknife.
Zozos. I think
Zozos.
Who's
The third one? Who's the third one?
I don't know. I like Zozos more than his other horses.
That's true. Magic
Tawny Port. Thank
you. Magic Carrots, here no love for White Abario. Let's talk about White Abario. I know there's a little bit of love from some people, but wins the Holy Bull off of missing 2 works because he was sick. Wins the Florida Derby, misses a work. I don't know. What do you think about White Abario? I'm doing this on him. I'm not quite sure right now.
Honestly, White Abario is one of the hardest horses for me in this field, and so I'm going to see what I'm waiting for the actual PPs to come out now, because I have the opinions that I have in my head of all of these horses, and I need to make sure that I still put the analytical work into it and make decisions. I think White Abario looked very impressive in the Fountain of Youth. I'm sorry, the Fountain of Youth, not the Holy Bull. Holy Bull is when we missed. He looked very impressive in the Fountain of Youth. I thought the Florida Derby in the moment was very visually impressive. I then have gone back and watched the Florida Derby a couple times, and it makes me like White Abario a little less. Now, on the positive side, he has the exact style that you want, right? You want to sit behind the pace. You want to be able to then pounce on the leaders around the far turn. You need to be first or second in the final furlong. Aaron mentioned this. I think it was I think every single winner since we went to the point system, and maybe there's one horse that bucks this trend, has been first or second in the final furlong. When the final furlong started, has won the race. So you need to be close. You got to be able to have that tactical speed and be able to be able to get to home. That time was not good in the Florida Derby. It just wasn't. Charge It was green as heck in the Florida Derby, and I think probably could have gotten by him if we didn't get hit many times on the right side of our body there. And that one last right hit caused him to veer in and lose some momentum. He was definitely running down, but he was definitely trying to run down White Barrio before that. I'm not sure the extra distance is a good thing for White Barrio, but to me, the biggest factor is Messier and Tabler in the race. They weren't when I liked White Barrio. When I was picking White Barrio, both of them were not going to be in the Kentucky Derby. The waters got deeper, and I don't think people talk about that enough. There were two horses in this race that weren't going to be in this race. They're both going to be sub 10-1. It makes it a lot harder for everyone else who's in contention.
Vashon brings up the race is setting up sweetly for Zandon, Mo Donegal, and Epicenter in a 3-horse showdown. That would be one hell of a finish. You get to the top of the stretch at the 3/16 or the quarter pole, and you just see those three. You got Epicenter takes the lead. Zandon's making a move behind him, and Mo Donegal's going 18 wide off the turn behind them, or maybe up the rail, one of the two. That would be an exciting finish, because then you've got Asmussen, Brown, and Pletcher with three of the best jockeys in the race, Rosario, Pratt, and Irad, all gunning each other down. That's a fucking epic Kentucky Derby finish right there.
It would be absolutely awesome. Zandon and Mo Donegal need to make the trip because they're not going to be close to the pace. They're going to be weaving through some traffic. We saw Pratt do a wonderful job at Keeneland doing that. He was
practicing for this race.
Just that was Zandon, got a perfect trip with him. Mo Donegal looked good in the wood, was able to sit on the inside and able to get by early voting. And the time came back was from the wood. Solid. I mean, very, very good time. And they ran sub 12s after the first quarter. So if you're looking at one of the better projectors of who's going to win the Derby, how fast was the final half mile they ran in all their prep races? Mo Donegal walking in there was shoulders held high. He ran fast in that wood. So yes, all three of those are definitely contenders. And that's one thing about this year's Derby to me. The picture's gotten muddier in the last 2 weeks than it has clearer, which is not always what you're looking for, but it was the same way it felt last year before the draw. So we'll see what happens here with the draw and where that projects to everything. I will say, two of those three horses listed there are definitely beyond every ticket, if not most of my tickets.
Vashon brings up Pratt going to ride Zandon the way he did Country House. He's going to have to. That Country House winning trip. Country House never should have even been second in the Kentucky Derby. You watch that horse's races before and after. You're like, that's the horse that. All right, that's what we got. Whatever. Where did we see? I had another one here. Oh yeah, Chris brings up. I heard I get why he says this. Zozos is an awful horse. You shouldn't bet him to win or in your exotics. Leave him off all your picks. Let's talk about Zozos because news broke while we were 10 minutes to post for the show. Manny Franco is your rider of Zozos. What do you think about Manny Franco riding Zozos?
Really?
Yep, Manny Franco's riding Zozos.
God, that's the best we could do. I mean, Manny Franco lost on 'Tis the Law. I think that pretty much sums up my opinion of this decision.
He lost on him twice because he lost the Kentucky Jockey Club, and that was purely Manny Franco losing that race.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I can't really blame him for the Derby, honestly. I mean, he just was never running down authentic. It's just that simple, and that is what it is. Manny Franco on a Brad Cox horse definitely gives me pause. I mean, Brad Cox has some pretty good jockeys you can call up, and I realize a lot of people have mounts already here, but I'm a little surprised with Manny Franco.
That's my counter is who's available that he could grab right now. Florence on Cyberknife,
right? No, Florence on Donegal on Zandon.
No.
You're thinking Giroux. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Giroux.
Yeah.
He's because it said Florence. Sorry, I was
I was thinking Flavian. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
I mean, Jose Ortiz. I would think you could get off simplification. Or I guess he's on early voting.
No, so Jose's on simplification. He confirmed that one. I don't know. It's interesting. I will say a positive for this. If you're a Zozo supporter, Manny Franco proved with 'Tis the Law that if you look him in the eye and say, "Listen, kid, here's how you ride this fucking horse," he'll listen. Because he didn't know that in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And then afterwards, Barkley was like, "I'm going to fire your ass if you do that again. Keep him clear." Kept him clear. He was fine. So I'm okay with Manny Franco. It's not one that makes you go, yeah, but it's not like, I don't know. You didn't get Lannery, I guess.
Rispoli? I mean,
yeah, you could go with Reese. Yeah, he's pretty good on dirt too. I don't know.
There's interesting. This is a pretty interesting comment here from Luis too. Early voting probably is out if you assume that Manny's not going to ride him, because that would have been Chad's most likely call.
Great point, Luis. Great point. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Oh yeah, I heard about this one. Nick was one of the 22 people that you got to meet at Keeneland. I saw. He texted me that he met you, and jokingly I said pick her. It didn't happen. He actually sent me a picture, so I was impressive. We had
a good time hanging out on Friday. He came and sat with my dad and I, and Brady joined us. Had a couple of people that kind of swung by, and just had our own little Magic Mike section going there at Keeneland right on the finish line. It was a blast.
Trish brings up. By the way, Trish was in the tournament challenge, the Racing Dudes tournament challenge. Trish hasn't been a winner yet, but I think Trish is going to be a winner sooner rather than later. But Trish wants to know our thoughts on Smile Happy. Seems no one is talking about him. Trish could see him in Superfecta being forgotten about. Definitely for me, not a winner. Definitely a hit the board candidate, because he loves to run and he looks happy when he's doing it.
He loves to smile too. Yeah, look. This horse is like a conundrum to me, because I'm not sure what the price is going to be on Smile Happy. I think that's going to really dictate a lot of how I use this horse. Favorite in the first 3 Kentucky Derby pools, looked great as a 2-year-old. He's come back as a 3-year-old and hasn't been overly impressive. But then if you say, well, look, I like Zandon on top, how far away is Smile Happy from Zandon? 2 lengths, 3 lengths, right? We just saw that at Keeneland. So if you're going to put Zandon on top, you almost have to say, I'm going to include Smile Happy in something underneath, because like last year, I think is kind of an anomaly where you have 4 horses within a neck of each other at the finish line. If you're within 2 lengths of the winner in the Kentucky Derby, you usually hit the Superfecta. And I think that is another situation here where if you're saying I like Zandon, I think you kind of have to include Smile Happy. I also think I think there's more upside to Smile Happy. Do we see him here? I don't know. Do I want Lannery and McPeak in the Derby? Not 4-1, but if I'm sitting at 25-1 on Smile Happy, I'm all of a sudden a lot more interested in this horse, because I think that is a little bit of an overlay.
I think that this is I think this is the classic horse that hits the board in the Derby, and people who didn't have him in their tickets are going, why the hell didn't I have this horse? It has either won or finished second every race. You look at this is his 3rd start off the layoff, 3rd start at age 3. Like, purely forget who the trainer and jockey are. Handicapping wise, this horse makes a lot of sense. But the problem is the price, because not only do you have everybody like from the public betting that don't bet horse racing normally, so the odds are a little skewed. You've got Mattress Mac. You've got a guy with literally dump trucks full of money sitting outside, and he's just waiting to see, okay, what are the odds? Okay, now let's put this truck in. Okay, now let's put this truck in.
Yes, but he's not betting the try. He's not betting the super with him in 3rd or 4th. And so your price on Smile Happy to win is very different than your point on price on Smile Happy in 3rd or 4th in the super or the try. So if you're using him underneath, I think it makes a big difference. And like you mentioned it, he's run second to Epicenter and Zandon. Probably your 1st and 3rd picks in the Derby. Let's not bash him too hard, and let's remember he can easily run underneath here. I think it's going to be tough for Smile Happy to win, but he can easily run underneath here and fill out a try or a super at a number that is going to be inflated versus his win odds, because there is going to be win money coming in, but not necessarily try and super money.
I love that you brought that up. Yeah, Mattress Mac just goes all in for the win. He doesn't give a shit about 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Robert, I saw this comment a while back, wanted to get to it when we could. How good is Taiba? Mike, in one word, or in one sentence, how good is Taiba?
Not justify, very
Damn it,
good.
You stole mine, you asshole.
Well, we had an internal meeting because we were talking about all our Derby coverage, and I literally, like, Aaron was giving off the Timeform numbers came out. Taiba is the best closer in the race according to Timeform, and is the 3rd best or 4th best early Timeform speed number. Well, we said, okay, well, what is Justify? Justify was 13 points better in any of his races than the 2nd place finisher in the Derby, the 2nd place competitor in his Derby. Taiba does not tower over this field like Justify did, and it took a Justify to be able to break the curse of Apollo. So he is not Justify. We need to just stop with that. He may turn out to be Justify, but I think his last Timeform rating is like 124. Justify's lowest going into the Derby was 137. So not even close to what that horse was running in that case. Could he get there? I mean, he improved 1st race to 2nd race. This is 3rd race. It's a logical step forward spot. I think he's the most talented horse in this field. Period. Doesn't mean he's going to win the Derby, but I do think he is the most talented horse in this field.
I agree. I also think he's about the most fragile. I think the fact that we've made it this far with him is so we haven't talked about this before, but we actually we were getting photos of Taiba working at Santa Anita last May. The Belmont hadn't even been run yet. Taiba was already starting to work. And the reason I bring that up is because he didn't debut until February.
Mm-hmm.
Like from May of his 2-year-old year until February of his 3-year-old year, that horse hasn't been on the track consistently. And that to me is a big warning sign. Breeding wise, this horse is going to command a lot of money and he's fragile as fuck. I don't know. I agree with you, Mike. I think this horse has a ton of talent. Go King 7 has a follow-up question. Are you at all worried about Mike Smith riding Taiba? I'm curious about why this question is being asked, because Mike Smith did win with Justify and he did win with Giacomo.
Well, Justify was a super horse and Giacomo was 15 years ago when Mike Smith was a lot younger. So I think that's the main reason for the question. I was a lot younger 15 years ago. That's just a fact. Okay. Like that is a statement of fact. Yep. There's a lot of Mike Smith slander out there. It's like, my guess is that's the reason for it. And he's had some questionable rides. Some people say he's not strong down the lane. I don't downgrade him very much. I think in a field of 20, experience becomes very important in these spots. I mean, it's not easy to ride in the first 1 of yours, especially if you're not going to be on the lead, which is not where I expect Taiba to be. So you're going to have to make some decisions. And I don't think that part of Mike Smith's game is a bad thing at all. Look, yeah, would there be other people I would pick over Mike Smith? Obviously. But he's not in the bottom half of this field, in my mind. So, I don't think it's a monster issue to have Mike Smith on Taiba, especially because, look, if Taiba wins this race, you want to know how he's going to win it? He's going to break, which Mike Smith's just fine at. He's going to sit 2 or 3 wide, which Mike Smith's very good at. And then he's going to be better than them down the lane. It's that simple. That if Taiba wins, it's because of that. It's not because of, and how he loses. He draws a 2-hole and Mike Smith puts him inside 3 horses. He doesn't get a lane. I don't see that as being that likely of a probability. And I will know that at the post position draw. This is to me, Taiba is not a hard horse to ride, right? They're hard, easy and hard horses to ride. Taiba is definitely an easy horse to ride. He's like, just sit him right outside the speed and go. Like it's not that difficult.
Mikey Smith even said as much on the backstretch of the San Diego Derby. He just let go of the bridle when I asked. He picked it right up. He's like, a horse never does that. I don't think that Mike Smith. I get the slander. Mike Smith to me is not the most aggressive rider, and I think that he's too passive when he should be aggressive. And a great point is Honor AP in the Kentucky Derby. That horse didn't break well. And Mike Smith has won 2 Kentucky Derbies, and he did one of them with Justify B. He knows you got to be on the front end. And he didn't push that horse in. Like, Honor AP didn't break well, and that was it. Mike didn't give him, I felt, the best chance to win that race. So I guess that's your concern. But
name the last horse who broke poorly that won the Derby.
It's a great point.
I'll wait. Like, it's going to be a while because there isn't one. It's field of 20. If you miss the break, you're out. It doesn't matter who's on. I mean, like, you could have a rocket strapped to your ass, and you're not winning the Kentucky Derby if you miss the break. It just doesn't happen.
I'm willing to try that. You want to strap a rocket to my ass, and I'll be also eligible.
Yeah. I will. That sounds like a wonderful plan.
Mike's like, I wanted to strap a rocket to your ass in episode 3. You know what's fun, Mike, is so we're doing this. I'm going back through the comments and slowly catching up with everyone. Keep them coming. This is great. There's so many of you watching live. It's amazing. I can see the exact point in the show when I announced that Manny Franco was riding Zozos because Vinny with Ugg, really, Manny Franco. Yeah. Yikes, Franco. But then you've got Magic Carrots with the redemption arc. Magic Carrots is all about the positivity.
Honestly, the Franco Zozos thing to me is way more key than the Pratt versus the Pratt Taiba thing. Because look, Zozos, he may need to work out a trip. He's not the fastest horse. He's not the slowest, but he's not the fastest. You could see Zozos having to decide, okay, do I get inside and then work my way outside? Do I try and figure it out? Like I do like Zozos in this race. And we're talking about a feature we're going to do, horses that you're scared to leave off your ticket that you're probably going to. And Magic, yours was Zozos. And Aaron and I's response would be, that would be mine too, but I'm probably going to use the horse. So Zozos is one of those horses where if he gets the right trip, he looks like he's got the talent to hit the board. Now the right trip part has just become a little more murky considering it's Manny Franco, and I was honestly expecting like Drew or someone like that to be on top of him. So it'll be interesting to see what I do with him now in that race.
I had forgotten. Nick Feldman reminded me this morning we were talking, but how long ago Drew had committed to Cyberknife. You'd think that with all the moving parts, but all right, we'll listen. Zozos is our preference there. Vishon, let's keep going back to Zozos. Not being malicious. What happened between Santana and Steve Asmussen, Mike? What happened between Ricardo and Steve Asmussen?
I mean, Aaron could probably, he's in the chat. He could probably go down the laundry list of jockeys that Asmussen has used like this before. Just because you're married to Steve Asmussen for a couple of years doesn't mean you're going to be married to him for life. I think that's really what happened here. I think as Asmussen got more and more horses at larger, like, I don't want to say larger, like once he went to Saratoga, once he went to a couple of these other tracks, he's like, wait a second, I can get other guys to ride for me here. And I think, Rosario specifically is like, look, I am never getting Chad Brown's horses. I'm never getting Todd Pletcher's horses. Why don't I team up with someone else? And I think you might have seen something where it's as simple as Rosario's agent reached out to Asmussen and said, "Hey, we'll follow you. We'll be your guy. You ready to go?" And I think Asmussen was like, "Hey, that's an upgrade. Let's do it." I think it's really that simple.
I mean, he's only the winningest trainer in North American history. He's the winningest trainer at like 18 different tracks. And he's still going very strong. This isn't like he's in his 80s or 90s. No, he has the Kentucky Derby favorite, second choice, whatever. So breakups happened. The big reason, Steve Asmussen went 1 for 80 at Keeneland last fall, and Ricardo was 0 for 79 because he didn't ride the one winner. So yeah, the Keeneland fall meet, that's kind of what did in there. That was kind of the death nail.
I mean, I've been banging this drum for a while. I think Asmussen is not as good on the turf as dirt. And I think one of the biggest problems was Ricardo Santana, who's not nearly as good on turf as he is on dirt. And I think that we'll see if that changes with Rosario or not. But I have a feeling that's a little bit of both their faults.
Back to Taiba. Did we talk about the fact that he only had one workout? Did we touch on this at all?
No, we haven't talked about it yet.
Well, a little bit, but he's going to do one work probably on the first, but he skipped last week's works when everybody else worked, and that's what makes me think this horse is super fragile.
Now, real quick, I want to make sure that I get this right. Darren is spelling this correctly, right?
Yes.
Taiba. Make sure if you're Googling this horse, you Google Taiba, because there is a Tabia as well. Very different horse, different lineage, just for everybody on YouTube.
Yeah.
Look, this is a concern, but I mean, that workout's going to be really important. I just bashed workouts. I will probably watch this one because I want to see if the horse is sound and fit. He's been galloping, so it's not like this horse has just been sitting in his stall eating oats and getting fat here, right? He's still been working out and getting the muscles through. I mentioned, like, we don't always see the workouts. We don't know how hard he was galloping on the track. And yes, if one official recorded workout doesn't mean the horse didn't go 6 furlongs handily and they just didn't record it, right? There's other things that go into this. Now, obviously, a Kentucky Derby contender, it's a lot less likely that happens, but it is still something that happens. And you know what? I am not going to not bet Taiba because of one workout, right? This is not going to be the reason I get off this horse. Now, if that workout, he looks unsound to me, he looks unfit, then there's something else going on there, right? But it's going to be a lot of how that visually looks. And let's just face it. Like, look, if he's in the Derby, I got to assume that he is ready to go. And just because he worked once instead of twice means that I'm not going to bet the horse who I think is the most talented in the field and probably gets a pretty good trip if he gets a good draw. That seems like you're overthinking it a little bit.
Yeah, kind of on that note, it's what I was thinking, that if his work is bad enough that we're going, that's bad, the connections are going to pull him. And Steve brings up, it's strange that Yafford or Bactine, however you prefer, didn't want Taiba in the San Diego Derby, but was overruled by the owner. Yeah, the Baffert didn't want it. Tim Yaktine didn't want it. The bloodstock agent, Gary Young, who is the Don's advisor that bought Medina Spirit, that bought this horse, he said, don't do it. And the owner said, do it. I don't know. That usually, like, that worked out in this case, Mike, but historically, let's look at Classic Causeway. Classic Causeway's owners were the ones that told Brian Lynch, put him in the Derby. You only get one shot at winning the Derby with the horse a lot of times. So I understand. And, you get Derby fever, you want to push them.
Yeah, I agree. Classic Causeway, I think, is different here. I mean, they've won a Derby before here, right? They won a Derby last year. And obviously everything happened and it's got taken away, but they stood in the winner's circle and got that experience, right? To me, look, if you have Messier anywhere in your top 5 and you saw what Taiba did in the San Diego Derby, you have to take that result, that effort, as more information than all of the other nonsense, the smoke that's going around him, right? What's more important, how he ran in the San Diego Derby or the fact he's only worked once since? What's more important? The fact that he romped in his debut, romped in the San Diego Derby, has been hyped since last fall, or that the fact that the bloodstock agent didn't want to put him in the San Diego Derby. I mean, I'm going to look at the track performance, and that's what I'm basing my information off of. And look, there's a lot of ways you could talk yourself on and off a lot of these horses. Now, you can make an argument, well, I'm not going to take 4-1 on Taiba because of all this stuff, and then that's valid. Like, I get it. You're saying that there is a fair value for the horse, and that fair value, you're taking all the other information and factoring that into your decision to come up with a fair value for the horse that you want to bet it at. That I get, right? But to completely chuck just because of this, I think, is a little aggressive.
Great points, and it goes back again to what I said about paralysis by analysis. Sometimes you can overthink this stuff. Mike and I have been victim of it. So if you're doing it right now, or you feel like we're targeting you, we've been you. It's okay.
Oh, been there, done that. You got to bet with this, not this, and that often. This is the Barber Road fan club right there, not this one.
Yeah, as much as you think Rushing Falls is going to get her Breeders' Cup win, man,
Yeah.
maybe she just won't get it done. Let's talk about Unoho a little bit. The one-eyed horse with zero chance to win the Kentucky Derby. John Rice really likes Unoho to hit the board if draws inside. Loves the rail. Doesn't love being slammed into it multiple times a race, as he learned in the Arkansas Derby. What do you think about Unoho's chances, Mike?
I am probably chucking all of Arkansas. So that, if you ran at Oaklawn, I am not interested. Oaklawn's been doing poorly at Keeneland. I think that is not a great sign. And then on top of that, I was already cold on the Arkansas Trail. I'm probably going to leave all the Arkansas horses off. I don't think Oho can win. I don't think Cyberknife can win. I would be more interested in Oho underneath than Cyberknife underneath. But I am probably, Barber Road, unfortunately for the Barber Road fan club, also falls into this list. I'm not using any of them outside of the 4th spot. In maybe Unoho or maybe Barber Road makes the 4th spot, but it's going to be tough. Look, who are you leaving off? Messier, Zandon, Modonegal, Epicenter, Taiba, White Abario. Like, that's 6 horses. You have to leave 3 of those 6 off for Unoho to get 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, for whatever we think of this class, going into the Derby, it's a relatively deep class up top. It's not like you're saying, hey, this is Justify, and then this is everybody else, right? You're going into this saying, you got 6 legit contenders. I would say 5, probably 5 legit contenders. But people could argue up to 7 or 8. And if you're doing that, you have to, for everyone you're arguing is a legit contender, you have to realize, well, how do they miss the board then? Because if someone that is going to creep up and get a big number like Crown Pride or like Unoho, who are you leaving off, right? Who are you dismissing completely? And maybe, okay, I'm going to dismiss New York. Okay, you still got 5 left. And that's without talking about Zozos. That's without talking about Smile Happy, who I think are better underneath options than Unoho.
Let's see where else we go to. Luis Saez. We don't really know who Luis Saez is riding yet. I would assume he goes to Charge It instead of Pioneer of Medina. One of them has a lot more upside than the other. So I think if I'm Luis Saez, I'm taking the upside horse.
He's currently listed on Charge It in time form.
Okay.
So if we're going that direction right now, it's Charge It, which is another interesting one. I mean, I think we haven't talked about Charge It very much. We talked about obviously Taiba quite a bit. Charge It's the other big-time upside horse in this, right? I mean, we've only seen him a couple times. The Florida Derby was impressive for 3rd effort. He's green, which means that the upside is definitely there. You can improve off that. Hopefully, Sai has learned a little something down the lane there, not to pop him twice with the right-hand whip, because I definitely think that affected him. But he looked like he was going to be every bit as good or better than White Abario when they started that stretch drive. So I'll be interested to see what he does. And he was a little funky in that race, too. If you watch it, he looked done top of the turn, and all of a sudden he re-engaged. Like re-engaged mid lane, and I'm like, oh shit, this could be a problem. Especially someone who's sitting there with a White Abario simplification cold exacta. It was a problem. So you could see him learning in the race, and now you have 3 more weeks of development. You've got Todd Pletcher, who obviously does very good at getting these horses ready for the Derby, and he's got to be on the short list of people that you think can improve big time here.
Let's see. We'll go to some more. Shadi, I agree. Shadi, you've been great in the comments in the chat. This Derby's gonna be tough. The draw is making me anxious. Yeah. I'm at this point where Mikey, probably you too. It's like, okay, we've got literally a week from today. So next Monday, the 2nd, is when we're gonna have the draw for the Derby and the Oaks. I'm like, come on, just give it to me. Like I'm like an addict. Give me more to talk about, more to analyze, more to think about here. Let's see what else. Japan horse also spooks me. Crown Pride. He's running crowds. That comment got me. But someone else, was it John? Somebody brought up Crown Pride.
Davey just brought him up down here, so we can pull this up here.
There you
go. This is interesting. This is one of those spots I think can be tough. That track is very different down there than or over there, I should say. This was UAE Derby, right? Dubai. Yep. I wouldn't just add 6 seconds and say he's going to run a 2:05. I think that specifically that track is it can come back funky with times. We saw Life is Good there run. I think it was a 49-second half mile, but it was rated as a full second faster than what they had done before in those races. So that you're almost saying like 50 is a good half mile time, which would make 1:59 interesting. So I'm not going to go too deep into how fast the UAE Derby. From a just past performance perspective in the UAE Derby, never hit the board in the Super. No one in that race has ever hit the board in the Super. We're gonna have 2 horses with Somich Small coming in who set the pace, and Crown Pride, honestly, like, he closed well, and you usually cannot do that in Dubai, so that was definitely a good sign. Pinehurst was the only horse really of note coming from the U.S. over there that you could say, well, that's a measuring stick. Pinehurst, I mean, wasn't even really a ruler, let alone anything bigger than that if you're comparing it to who the good horses are here in America. So I think, to me, Crown Pride's a wild card. The UA Derby has been awful. So you have to be willing to just say, this is a new horse. And I get it. Japan's been much better. I've been banging that drum for a good 9 months here. So I do think that there is some interest there. I think that, unfortunately, the price, you saw him go from 50 to 1 to 24 to 1 in the last future pool. I think a lot of people are on this Japan kick. I think you're going to see a lot of people play this horse. I don't think you're going to get as big of a price as you expect in the Super. I think this is going to be one of the more bet horses underneath, because people are going to be like, oh, I can't leave the Japan horse off. They've been great, right? So I think you're going to see this horse get bet quite a bit underneath. So if you like him, use him. You're going to get the right price. I hear you. To me, Crown Pride is a tough one, though. I probably am going to leave him off my tickets.
I'm going to leave him off as well. That stretch run the UAE Derby, yes, it was impressive that he closed, that he was able to do that. Summers tomorrow looked like he was going to win. He looked like he was going to win the way every UAE Derby winner does, which is get to wire. Crown Pride didn't change his lead. That horse got up there. I say he got up there despite the fact that Summers.
We know how you feel about changing leads.
God damn. By the way, simplification in his latest workout, we talk about workouts, change his lead like a fucking champ. Why can't you do that in a race? But actually, he did it in the Florida Derby and he faded, so it didn't work out.
We should talk about simplification, because I think that's another horse that I think people are going to be interested in underneath. I did the capsule for Racing Dudes YouTube on simplification. We got one up for each horse, or Magic put a lot of the replays in there. So it's a really cool way to kind of see the replays from the different horses. If you want to go check that out on our YouTube page, I think there's one for 24 different horses. Did a lot of them.
None for Classic Causeway because he wasn't in the race when we did them.
Jeez.
Now this is your capsule. This is your capsule right here.
There we go. Just cut this out and throw it up there. Look, simplification, when you go back and you watch, so he's really interesting because goes wire to wire in the Mucho Macho win. So you see that element where he can go out there and he can wire a field. That was at a 1-turn mile. It then runs back into the Fountain of Youth and misses the break and rushes up and has this impressive performance. White Barrio kind of stays in front of him. But when you go back and watch that race, note that Mo Donegal is absolutely running him down, right? And that's at a 1-turn mile and 16th, or a short stretch mile and 16th. I'm sorry, 2-turn mile and 16th with a short stretch. Absolutely getting run down by Mo Donegal, like mile and 1/15, and he loses the lead. The next 6, done. He's not finishing second. You then go back and you watch him win the Holy Bowl, looking very good. There was all that trip trouble in the middle because of what In Due Time did, splitting horses. It goes 6 wide, misses the break there as well, but easily gets the win. Now In Due Time comes back and looks awful in Lexington. That to me is a bad sign for Florida because he looked bad. And then you have him come back in the Florida Derby. He was gassed. I mean, he went out toward the lead. He was never stopping White Barrio from getting by. He was never stopping Charger from getting by. I've got distance concerns with simplification. I don't think he wants anything to do with a 1.25 miles. That's why I'm probably going to leave him off everything.
Yeah, I don't. The more I watch the Florida circuit and think about it, the less I like it.
Kind of the same. And I was high on the Florida circuit, and as each week goes by, they're falling down a peg on the list to me.
I'm glad we got to talk about him. I saw him popping up a few different times in the chat here. Let me see. I lost my spot here. I did see someone bring up the fact that. Oh yeah, here it is. Oh wait, nope. She was responding. Shotty's responding to Rob, but Kathleen O. We don't talk about recent workouts, but man, she's looking so good, Mike. Throw out the O. We love Kathleen O here.
I can't believe she's not going to be the favorite. I mean, it's just wild to me that she's going to go off as the third or fourth choice in that race.
That's fine. You and I love her. That'll be a nice little Oaks Derby double. And actually, here we go. Rob brings up his Oaks Derby double ticket. Kathleen O. Hey, Adari Manor is out. She's officially not going. So you are singling Kathleen O against Taba, Messier, and Epicenter. That's a good looking double, Mike. I don't have any issue with those. I think with the Oaks, you want to single Kathleen O?
I am going to single Kathleen O, or I am going to go too deep with Secret Oath. It depends. Like the Secret Oath Saya's jockey upgrade, I think is relevant. I think you got to pay attention to that. And I love Dwayne Lucas. I love the whole coach thing. Like it's a bunch. It's fun. He's 3%, man. Like he's not a good trainer anymore. And so depending on what the price is on Secret Oath, that will be the determining factor for me. I want No part of Echo Zulu. I think if I took someone else, it would be the freaking horse that I took at the Breeders' Cup who missed the break and ran second to Echo Zulu last time. Can't remember her name right now, but you're going to say it because that's why I'm monologuing here.
Hidden Connection?
Hidden Connection would be the other one that I would consider here. The problem is Kathleen O is a freaking monster. So just go back and watch her races. The last race especially, where Javier went four wide, hit her once top of the lane, and she just ran away from everybody. I thought was really impressive. So for me, it's Kathleen O or Secret Oath, and I think it's what's the price on Secret Oath to me? Because if I'm getting 3-1 and she's the favorite, no thanks, right? If I'm getting 7-1, then yeah, I'm a little interested. And so it's going to come down to what the number is on Secret Oath. But I do think Kathleen O is the best horse.
We'll build off of that. Your stance of chucking the Arkansas circuit. You were specifically talking about the Derby, right? You still really like Secret Oath for the Oaks.
Yes, the Derby side of I'm chucking Oaklawn in a lot of ways right now because of how poorly they've done at Keeneland. But when you have a filly running against the boys and she's been so dominant against the girls, that makes you kind of like, okay, I got to give her some credit here. Look, let's play this game. If Cyberknife was in the Oaks, what's his odds?
3 to 5 to 1, 4 to 1.
Really? Cyberknife in the Kentucky Oaks?
Well, you're asking me about a boy facing fillies. I don't know.
I mean, you got to think he would be like. I think he'd be like 4 to 5 in that race. I wouldn't bet him at 4 to 5, but that's probably around where he'd be. If you look at it that way, I mean, then you got to say you got to give her some credit here for running so well in that race. And that again, the trip was terrible. She was way wide, asked too early, never had really a chance to get by him. So to me, there's other factors there that kind of she clearly has a pass for that race in my mind because of how the trip was.
All right. Oh, here we go. Speaking of the Oaks, we kind of transitioned to the Oaks a little bit. Shahama under Pletcher, Luis. You know that. I keep bringing up Shahama. My girl. You like because she's a giant question mark. We know every other horse. We've got a filly who was 4 for 4 winning by daylight in UAE Derby, at Maidan, and then she skips UAE Derby and comes straight here for this. I don't know. She could be interesting.
Well, let me bring this up real quick.
Not Kathleen O.
Oh, yes, we both want to do. Trish's biggest issue with Kathleen O is who she beat. Who did any of the fillies beat? That is my retort. It's you have one good filly in each region, right? I mean, so you got Echo Zulu and Hidden Connection. So I guess you could say they went against each other. But Echo Zulu really didn't look as good last time down in Louisiana. And Hidden Connection would run her down at the Oaks distance. But then you only have Kathleen O down in Florida. You only really have Secret Oath in Arkansas. California, I mean, you had Adair Manor, and then she didn't look very good. But you really don't have depth in each of these divisions. You have really good horses in each of these divisions, but you don't have much depth. So a lot of I would question who did anyone beat on the filly side.
The best one, honestly, would probably be Echo Zulu. She beat Hidden Connection in the group in Fairgrounds, but I don't know. Do you think Echo Zulu is gonna have be overbet, underbet, odds wise? I feel like not enough people are talking about Echo Zulu, and I might actually get a decent price on her in the Oaks now.
Well, let me see. Let's look. Let's travel overseas to see what the current odds are here. Last time I looked, the favorite in the Oaks was Echo Zulu. Yep. So Echo Zulu 3.5 to 1, Nest 4 to 1, Secret Oath 4.5 to 1, Kathleen O 5 to 1, Hidden Connection 10 to 1, Interstate Daydream 10 to 1, Desert Dawn 16 to 1, Juju's Map 16 to 1, Shahama 16 to 1.
Hey, all right, that's a fair price. I think you probably need to between 15 and 20 to 1 is probably at least overseas. I guess it'd be different once we get the odds. All right, I'm finally caught up in the chat here. It took 48 minutes and 28 seconds. So congratulations, everybody. I'm gonna take a look here through the list. Epicenter, he outworked Gunnett in his last one. That doesn't really take too much, but I like that they had him inside. Mo Donegal working with my prankster. That's a grade 2 winner. Tis the Bomb and Smile Happy worked together, going 5 furlongs. All the reports were saying visually Smile Happy worked better, even though Tis the Bomb had a quicker time.
You mean Smile Happy worked better on dirt than Tis the Bomb?
I know, surprising, right? I don't understand.
No, you mean Tis the Bomb's a turf horse? Is that what I'm hearing?
Maybe something like that. Yeah.
Maybe something like that.
Let's see. Unoho, his work wasn't all that visually impressive. We talked about Manny Franco. Summers Tomorrow is going to have a work at Churchill Downs this coming week. Oh, Charge It outworked Cezanne. I knew there was a horse I needed to talk about with Charge It. First of all, Cezanne, now with Todd Pletcher, no longer with Baffert. But
Charge is working with Baffert horses?
Charge It outworked Cezanne is what we're hearing from that one. And then Happy Jack is like Taba going into the Derby with just one work since the Santa Anita Derby. Happy Jack or Taba, Mike? Which one are you taking out?
Taba. And they'll lean that
how about
direction.
legit question? Because I think I saw it somewhere here. I'm going to probably Frankenstein it up. Tis the Bomb or Happy Jack? Who finishes farther behind?
I think Tis the Bomb might run last. So I still think Tis the Bomb might run last. Seriously, where Tis the Bomb finish in the Florida Derby? Did he finish the Florida Derby? I don't even know. Did he finish?
I'm checking right now. I'm not doing cocaine. Yes, he just finished. Just finished. I'm watching him cross right now. Yeah, a light gallop.
So I'm gonna pull something up here. So give me the sharing screen view.
Oh. All right. You are set. Boom. Look at that timing.
So there we go. Just for everybody, here's the current odds. There we go. For the Kentucky Derby right now, if you did want to see it overseas. So Epicenter currently the overseas favorite. Messier sitting second at 6.5 to 1. Taba also 6.5 to 1. Got Zanin at 8 to 1. Mo Donegal at 10. Whiteabario 11. Charge at 14. You can all read it here in case you were in the chat. Anyone from this list? Anyone jump out at you, Magic? Tawny Port at 50 to 1 kind of jumped out at me right away because that seems wildly high when you have him around horses like Happy Jack and whatnot. Anyone jump out at you that you think is a big number down underneath that could get it done?
Just Zozos. And I think, if you 20 to 1 on Zozos, to me, that's a playable price. Beyond that, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think anyone out if I shortlisted the contenders right now, I would not bet anyone to win except probably Messier and Taiba. That's probably my list. I'm not betting Epicenter to 4 to 1, although I think he has a legit shot at winning. I'm not betting Zanin at 8 to 1, although I think he has a legit shot at winning.
Yeah.
I'm not betting Mo Donegal or Whiteabario at 10 or 11 to 1, although neither would surprise me. I don't think anyone past the top 6 could win the race.
Yeah, that was the thing. Zozos, if I'm just looking at the horses out of that, maybe Zozos. I mean, honestly, I would say early voting at 18 to 1, but I don't think he's going. Because this is also, you're asking if I would take an overseas bet versus like race day, right? Because if race day 4 to 1 Epicenter, I'm taking that because I think that's a great price on him. But this far out, without a guarantee he's in the gate, 4 to 1's too short.
And Nick brings up a good point here. We're not advocating betting any of these because I actually agree with Nick's point. Unless you like one of the crazy numbers, like Tawny Port's probably not going to be 51 on Derby Day. So that's one horse here. I think maybe a lower price. These aren't very good prices 2 weeks out because they could still scratch. I mean, maybe if you liked Mo Donegal, I don't think you might get 10 to 1 on race day. It might be around there. You don't have any drastic edges on these prices. This is more of a, hey, this is what they're currently looking at. This is what I think we could see coming Derby Day. Tis the Bomb is 16 to 1. I actually think Tis the Bomb is going to be lower than that. What do you think Tis the Bomb goes off at? 8 to 1, 9 to 1?
I was going to go right about 10 to 1.
I mean, I think that horse can get bet still because, I mean, there's some buzz around it, which is ridiculous. And did look very good winning the Jeff Ruby Stakes, which is on synthetic, and sort of a Breeders' Cup winner. So, there's all that kind of stuff.
Chris brings up Tis the Bomb's day. I don't think it was his debut, but his win at 2, his maiden special weight win at 2 was dynamic on the Ellis Park dirt. Correct. The problem, 2 problems. 1, that was at Ellis Park. Number 2, that was July, I want to say, of last year. That's a long time to go.
There's a third problem. Do you know what the third problem is?
Kenny McPeak's his trainer.
There's a fourth problem.
Sorry. Was that not it? Okay, sorry.
Number 4, that race was scheduled to be on turf. That race was rained off the grass.
Oh, that's right. I always forget that. Damn.
So it wasn't even against a dirt field. That was against a rained off the turf field. I think you got a 51 buyer for it, if I remember correctly.
I've got the lifetime PPs for everybody pulled up. Let me look.
So there. I don't know how big the field was, but I'm guessing it wasn't 12 horses if it rained off the turf. The buyer came back 51. And it was a 1-turn mile at Ellis, I think it was.
It's like 3/4. It's like 1 3/4 because it's like they have that Keeneland chute, but at the top of the other turn. It's kind of weird. It's not fully 2 turns is the answer. Man, I can't find it. Man, why Tis the Bomb is everywhere except in the PPs when I'm trying to find them apparently.
And now this is I have bashed the Arkansas group, and I'll talk about Cyberknife is here for a second. This is probably the Arkansas horse that scares me the most. I mean, Brad Cox pretty good at this. Cyberknife seems to be peaking at the right time, but they have not been very good, right? I mean, that's the Arkansas horses haven't been very good. I'm not sure that the Arkansas group is good enough to compete with this group. And my other issue with Cyberknife is I don't know how he wins. Like picture the trip in my mind. And he was able to sit close to the pace of the Arkansas Derby. But if you go back and you watch that race, it was funky, man. Like, he kind of split horses and got a dream trip into the 2-path on the backstretch after they went a little too fast, and everybody slowed down. And for some reason, no one blocked that hole. So he got a perfect trip on the outside and was able to run by bad horses. And I mean, outside of Secret Oath, who wasn't good enough to go to the Derby, according to Coach, who sent girls to the Derby before, so it's not like that's an issue with him. There wasn't, to me, much in that race. Now, if you like Uno Hope, Barber Road, I get it, but like, I just, man, I can't get the Cyberknife. And if he wins, he beats me, I won't even be mad. I'll just be like, okay, is what it is.
Davey brings up a counterpoint. Every horse is supposed to peak for the Kentucky Derby, and that's true. However, most of them don't. And this comes down to you have a trainer versus a horseman. A trainer just goes out there and puts the horses through the works. A horseman builds up to the Kentucky Derby. And so I think when you see Cox peaking a horse or Pletcher peaking a horse at the Derby, that is a lot bigger of a sign than, nothing against him, Antonio Sano peaking for the Derby. Okay, but like that's not something that I know you for is peaking on a big day. So that is supposed to be what's happened. You're right, Davey. It just doesn't usually happen. Nick brings up John White's Derby strike system, which you don't know. John White, morning line odds maker for Santa Anita and Del Mar, has this famous point system where only one winner of the Kentucky Derby since he's done the point system has won the Derby with 3 strikes or more. And I think there was it one of the asterisk ones? Anyway, regardless, John White has a great system.
It was Justify.
Oh, it was Justify. Thank you. So you have to be Justify. So if you think Taiba is Justify, great. If you don't, Cyberknife has 0 strikes. That's good. That doesn't guarantee anything. It just means you can't use that to say he's not going to be a good one. And Nick also brings up, if Derby Day's sloppy, what horse gets moved up a lot in your mind and what horse gets moved down?
This is interesting. I think we've talked about this a little bit before. The best sires in the U.S. on dirt are all good mud sires now. If you look through it consistently, into Mischief, totally fine in the mud. You know, if you look at Gun Runner, totally fine in the mud. All Twirling Candies. I mean, pretty much everyone who's become, Uncle Mo, everyone who's become like a legit like top tier, I'm gonna win a Derby, go a mile quarter sire. They're pretty much all good in the mud. It's wild how that's happened, but they are all very good in it. So to me, the mud doesn't make a huge difference in this spot.
If this was Oaklawn, I would say Zozos gets moved up a mile because Munnings on off track at Oaklawn was just print money.
now Munnings is one of those where like that's a legit move up. And so Zozos actually would probably get a little bit of a bump to me, but this isn't against a field of horses that are sired to not go on mud. That's the key. This is pretty much all of the big sires are good enough on the mud now. So it's not like you're running against horses that don't want to be there. This is a really interesting question from Trish, because I started thinking about this as soon as I saw it. How many horses are you using in your pick 5 tickets? Right now, I would be between 1 and at most 4. Most likely, I'm going to use 2 horses. I think 2 is going to be my number. But I would consider singling, depending on the draw, and that would either be Messier or Taiba, one of the 2. And 4 deep for me would be Messier, Taiba, Zandon, and Epicenter. Depending on how much I like the other races in the card, which obviously has to factor into this, depends how deep I will go on this race, especially since there are going to be 4 of the shorter prices. But the thing with the Derby that's different than a lot of other races is I don't mind using 4 shorter prices when 3 of the 4 are going to be over 4-1. Probably all 4 will be over 4-1. So, and you're in a 20-horse field. So to me, I'm not going to swing big in this race from a price perspective, so I'll probably try and go a little shorter.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think Chris, perfect. About 2 to 4. Nick, right in the sweet spot, says he's used 3, of course, depending on who you like earlier in the card. And that's what it is. We're not saying right now this is our set in stone because we don't know who's showing up or what the 4 races will be beforehand. But yeah, I think for me, Epicenter is my top pick, has been for months, and then maybe 1 or 2 horses, again, depending on the draw. And speaking of the draw, Jimmy, thanks for watching. He says it's a waste of time to try to pick one until they know their post number. We appreciate you watching. Shoddy, I think this year closer has a chance. Shoddy, here's the problem with that. Closers don't have a chance in this Derby point system. But this could be the year that happens. I'm not going to say it won't because then that's when it does happen.
Well, here's the thing. I could poke holes in all the speed horses real fast if you wanted me to. Like Taiba, inexperienced. Messier, probably not going to make the lead. Classic Causeway, not that good. Then you're looking at like, hey, Epicenter and Weighted Bar are sitting behind it. What if they don't fire? What if they go too fast or too close to the pace? All of a sudden you have like Mo Donegal, Zan, and those type of horses. My issue with Mo Donegal specifically, he's a straight up plotter. Like he does not have very much early speed at all. And if you do watch that wood back, he gets a beautiful trip. Zanin also got a beautiful trip in the Bluegrass. I believe Zanin has more early speed or more tactical ability, and that Pratt is going to put him a little bit more into the race. We'll see if that actually happens on race day or not. It's going to be tough to come from the back no matter what, though. And I also don't think Messier or Taiba backs up, and I think Epicenter is a pretty good horse. And I think that makes it more difficult as well to come from behind. Now, if you have early voting, if you have Classic Causeway and you had Forbidden Kingdom in this race, my tune might be a little different. But most likely, we're only going to have one of those three horses.
JGigs29 says, please sell Tiz the Bomb to me. I do not understand why people love him on dirt. JGigs29, I have two things for you. First of all, thank you very much for watching us and for being on the channel. Second of all, you're on the wrong channel if you want someone to sell you Tiz the Bomb. We are very much against him for that. We don't love him on dirt. In fact, we hate him on dirt.
I would sell you to not use him. That would be my sell on Tiz the Bomb. I no interest at all. I hope he gets bet.
Chris Maella doing his best, trying to get banned from the chat. No, listen, Flavian Pratt has been, and Nick Feldman brought this up to me earlier. He's been good on dirt, really good on dirt. I think the Keeneland turf course is fucking with him. Like, he is not enjoying that turf course this year. What's going on?
Well, I think I've talked about this with some other people outside of this channel. Look, you're not going to see the best version of Flavian Pratt day one. Like, you're going to see the best version of Flavian Pratt day 20 and day 21.
We literally got it race one, day one. We got the best.
Right, but you like
I know
the reason he does so well in California is because he fiddles the other California riders. He didn't fiddle the other California riders day one when he landed on the ground. He got better and better and better because he learned how to ride against them. Also, if you look at who he's riding for, haven't been great in the turf races either. Like those specific trainers, not exactly crushing it. So I think that's part of the problem as well. Look, he'll be fine. He's one of the three best jockeys in America. You can't really argue that. We're going to see how it turns out here. Did he get overbet a little bit after that first weekend? Probably, because he was hitting the board with everything that first weekend. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm not overly concerned about his performance at Keeneland. I still think he'll be just fine.
We're going to get out of here, Mike. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's been over an hour of just wonderful Kentucky Derby chat. And listen, it's not going to end here. We have all week long and next week as well. We're going to be doing all sorts of content, both live and recorded, over at racingdudes.com and youtube.com/racingdudes. But yeah, I was bringing that up, so I'm glad you mentioned it. On the 28th at Keeneland, race 6, horse 5, Patna. Mike, talk to us about Patna.
It's the horse I put. So I'm doing a stable up feature for our YouTube channel. I'm throwing out. I don't know if you put the stable up from the key race we did earlier, but we're also going to have. We all have this. Patna was the first stable up that I used. This is a horse that ran first time out, and it just did not look like that race. The intention was to win. So there's a full stable up video, about 2.5 minutes on Patna. She's going to be back on Thursday. Hopefully, we can get a first W with our first stable up.
I will. Table over here. Oh, turn the volume off before we get screamed at. This is Mike and I do an audio, but it's fun. Yeah, this is a video I've got to pull up here, but just literally on our YouTube channel, there's Mike's beautiful face. Just search for Patna, stable him up Patna. Dennis brings up that this horse, and Mike did a great job of explaining why this horse is going to be good. And I think we got 12 plus and also eligible in this race. Looking at who's here, you've got Pratt on a Chad Brown horse. I think you could still get a decent price. I don't know. What do you think, Patna? What are we going to get on her?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the race yet.
There's a lot of horses in there. I'm hoping we get something better than 2-1. We'll find out. Dennis says, watch out for Quist and Shout. Oh, I like that name. Another that Dennis stabled after that race. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get out of here just because, we could do this all day, but unfortunately, they don't pay us to do this all day. So we're going to get out of here and go do some other stuff.
Real quick, before we go, who's your Derby horse?
It's Epicenter.
You're still Epicenter?
Still Epicenter. You're still Taiba?
I am like leaning Messier right now, but I think it's Taiba. But I'm Messier is creeping back into the system for me. Not gonna lie,
he's got I'm getting a lot of Medina Spirit vibes from him. I have for a while, and I don't particularly love that. I thought you were going to bring up this. We have the third Racing Dudes Tournament Challenge is going to be this Friday, April 29th. You can prove yourself against the Racing Dudes team for a chance to win cash prizes and site credit for horsetourneys.com. Let's see. Mindy Gunn won it the first time. I forgot who got the site credit. Who got site credit last race?
Can't remember.
I know that, let's see, three of the 4 Racing Dudes were in the top 4. And then Mike Somich would bring up the rear. 2 contests ago, Mike Somich won, and I brought up the rear. The reason I say that is because you don't have to be scared of us. One of us is guaranteed to finish last. The other guaranteed to finish in the money. You just need to be a Racing Dudes premium member, but go to racingdudes.com and figure out how you can join the Racing Dudes Tournament Challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the third one, Mike, it's going to cover Golden Gate. They've got a huge weekend coming up. So big, Matt Dinnerman is going to be our special guest on Thursday's episode of the Magic Mike Show. We're covering the late pick 4 Saturday at Golden Gate Fields. If you don't know, Golden Gate, the week before the Derby, this is their biggest week of the year. They put on an amazing turf festival, lots of great stakes action. Horses from Southern California coming up to invade. Horses from Kentucky and Florida are expected to show up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be doing that 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Thursday. Before we get out of here, did I forget anything else?
Dave Feldman won the last one. Dave Feldman
you.
won the last one. I couldn't, I thought it was Nick Feldman. I'm like, it wasn't Nick Feldman. And I had to go back and look. It was Dave Feldman. David, congratulations. Everyone get in on that on Friday. We're going to use the same tournaments as the Friday features. So you can see how you would stack up. And starting on Wednesday, we are going to have Race to the Kentucky Derby, the live Racing Dudes YouTube show that we're going to have out. So join us at 11 or 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific for you Magicers. And we will be live for at least a half hour, probably talking all of the Kentucky Derby news. We'll talk about the workouts. We'll talk about how horses are going. We'll do a bubble watch to talk about who's in and who's out. We'll have that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So make sure you check that out right here on the Racing Dudes YouTube channel.
Follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. And a special hello to our newest corporate overlord, Mr. Elon Musk, officially buying Twitter for $44 billion and change. Until Thursday, when we have Matt Dinnerman for the Golden Gate Saturday Late Pick 4 show. I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
May all your bets be winning ones.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels, never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,